Good afternoon, I'm Gracie Floyd, and today I'm going to be talking about the creation and usage of Tylenol in the United States. Tylenol was fully developed and finalized by 1955 by Robert L. McNeil Jr. and the scientists that had come before him. Tylenol was originally an investigative experiment done by two German physicians to figure out something that could work for worms, and this became a rough draft of Tylenol as we know it today. The accidental study of Tylenol was done by two German physicians named Arnold Kahn and Paul Hepp. They tried to use a certain chemical that was going to be efficient on worms, but when they tested it on a human patient, it ended up reducing their fever. So they had to figure out why this was happening and how this was working. So then they found out later that the chemical that they were given was acetanilide, which is used to reduce fever, headaches, and pain in children. This is when Robert McNeil came along to help and to study this chemical as we know it today. He produced a drug and he named it Tylenol. This is Robert McNeil, and he was able to help create a safer and more usable version of this drug. He decided to mix acetaminophen with the acetanilide and other ingredients to finalize and work out the technicalities of Tylenol as we use it today. Robert graduated from Philadelphia, the College of Pharmacy, and bought a drugstore in Kensington, Philadelphia by 1879. By 1904, Robert and his son were making profit and working together to sell different drugs to pharmacies and doctors and hospitals around the United States for prescription drugs. In 1933, Tylenol was still a prescription drug because over-the-counter usage was not heard of yet. Now, from the Drug Therapeutical Regulations website, they say Tylenol was originally marketed as antiperspirant by the German pharmaceutical firm, and acetanilide filled the void in the therapeutic marketplace that was limited in the 19th century. So, Robert and his son worked for 20 plus years to finalize and figure out the dosaging for Tylenol. So, in an interview, Mary Ellen Bowden interviewed Robert L. McNeil Jr. about Tylenol, and he said, when the 1948 Act was passed, grandfather had his new drug, but its dosage was not too certain. So, the Act of 1948 actually made it safer for these things to happen and for other companies to use drugs, and it eventually promoted over-the-counter usage. That is what we know of today, and Robert L. McNeil Jr. worked very hard to be able to produce this drug for over-the-counter usage. Overall, Tylenol has progressed so much throughout the years, and all the technicalities were worked out by 1955 and released to the public of America. Now, the National Institute of Health says that over 50 million Americans use Tylenol every week. Thank you so much for your time today while I talked about Tylenol and the usage that it has in America.